Good morning, 3rd through 5th grade. Before we dive into your individual lessons, I told you that I would make an instructional video on your math project that is due June 4th, 2020. That is exactly 2 weeks from today. Now you can hand it in before June 4th, meaning you can send me a video or pictures before June 4th, but June 4th is the last day you should be sending it to me. Okay, so this is a simple project, but it will be fun and creative and will give you a chance to be artistic, and you can choose whatever you want to do as long as it's appropriate. But there are a few stipulations. All right, so I did not make this. I printed it off of the internet. I will make one, but I printed this particular one off the internet. So I explained to you that we're going to be using all the same size circles, okay? If you want to do this on a big poster board, you could use a cereal bowl or a bucket to trace your circles. If you want to do it on a piece of construction paper, then you need to find something that has smaller circles so that they'll fit on the construction paper. Okay, so I'm going to show you this example. Okay, so this is an underwater scene and it has a few different animals on it. We have what looks like an octopus or a squid right here. We have some little fish. We have a big fish, a different kind of fish, a different kind of fish, a turtle. We have some grass, okay? So all of these were used making the same size, made using the same size circle, okay? Now, this is the size circle that was used because this circle right here is one hole, okay? Now, if you notice this one hole, when cut in half, this is the top of the octopus, or I think it's a jellyfish. That's a jellyfish. Why did I say octopus? Jellyfish is using 1/2, okay? And it looks like the turtle is also using 1/2, and then there are other ones layered on top of it, okay? This fish right here was made using 1/4, and then we have this fish right here is used making 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and then the tail is 1/8, and these fins are 1/16. And so this grass right here is used, a whole bunch of 1/16 are used, okay? So what you're going to do to make your scene does not have to be an underwater scene. You can do whatever you want. Now, 3rd grade, remember on our last lesson, I showed you the bird that was used making fraction pieces of circle. It was one animal, okay? That's fine, okay? The older you get, the more detail I would like you to get. But if you're in 3rd grade and you are super ambitious, or maybe art and crafts are your thing, you can do a whole scene also. But 5th grade, I prefer for you to do a scene and not just one particular thing, unless your one animal or your one object has a lot of detail on it, okay, using lots of fraction circles. So the first thing I'm going to show you what to do is how to make your circles. So I have a mug right here and I have a piece of paper. So I'm going to trace. I'm actually going to fold this in half, okay, because you can use more than one circle of the same color. You just got to make sure that they're labeled. Okay, so I traced my circle, and now I'm going to cut out my circle. This, after cutting out, this next step you need to do before you cut out your pieces, your fraction pieces. Okay. So my first circle, I'm going to keep this one whole, okay? So I'm going to write 1 over 1 on my circle, okay? Before you cut your pieces out, you need to write what size they are because you might forget after you cut them out. Okay, so this is 1 over 1. I could make a one circle out of yellow too. I can make as many as I want. I probably will because I think I might use that for the sun. Okay, but this one right here, I want to do in 1/4. I need 1/4 pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it into quarter pieces. Okay, so I'm folding it into quarter pieces, and before I cut them out, I'm going to put 1/4 on each piece so that I know what size they are. Some of these labels might get covered up if you're overlapping them, but I need to at least be able to see some of them that are this size and what fraction they are. Okay, so after I've labeled all of my pieces, then I'm going to cut them out. And like I said, you can cut out as many quarter pieces as you want. You might need a ton of quarter pieces or a ton of eighth pieces. It all depends on what you are making, okay? So if I'm making, I might need a whole bunch of green eighth pieces because I'm making grass, for instance, or 16th pieces because I'm making grass, okay? Or maybe I need a bunch of 16th pieces out of yellow because I'm making the rays of the sun, okay? So let's say this one, I want to do eighths. You should probably decide what you're going to make before you cut all of these out. Or you can just cut out a whole bunch and then see what happens. It's up to you. So look, I have a quarter, and then I'm gonna fold it in half again. And that's going to make eighths. I could even fold it in half again if I want to make 16ths. So I'm gonna unfold this and put 1/8 on each of the pieces. 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. Okay. So once they're all labeled, then I cut them out so that I don't forget what size they are. Okay, so for 3rd and 4th grade, you are just going to make your scene, whatever it is. It can be an under the sea scene, it can be a city, it can be a house, it can be a couple of animals, it can be a flower garden, it can be space, it can be anything that you want. Your family, a rainbow. Ooh, that would be fun. Anything you want that's appropriate. But 5th grade, I need you to take one of your objects and add them together, okay? So this one, I just happened to pick this one and I did not realize what it would come out to, okay? So I took 1/8, plus 3/4, because look, there's 3/4, plus 2/16, because the fins are made out of 16ths, there's 2 of them. And then I had to find the least common denominator, which was 16, and then I changed them all to 16ths, and then added them together, and it just happened to come out to 16/16, which is 1. So if you look, I just put equals 1. I picked one of my objects, I added all of the pieces together, and I put what it equals next to it, okay? So 5th grade, you need to do that. So once I have all of my pieces cut out, now obviously these aren't all of my pieces, but once I have all my pieces cut out, I can start creating, okay? You can use as many fraction pieces as you want, but they all need to come from the same size circle. So if you pick this size circle, they all need to come out, they all need to be out of this size circle, okay? Why? Because I want these fractions to be able to be equivalent, okay? Remember we talked about that, they take up the same amount of space. So two of these 8ths are going to take up the same amount of space as one of these quarters, okay? Because they come from the same size circle. All right, so be creative. I know that not everything is circle shape and not everything is triangle shape, but we can be creative, okay? They made all sorts of different kinds of fish, a jellyfish, a turtle, grass, all out of these just being creative. Everything is not going to look exactly like it does in nature or exactly like it does in life, but if you are creative, we'll be able to tell what it is, okay? So, what's something that I could make right here? Look at this. I could make a bunch of trees next to each other like that and cut out a 1/16 of a brown piece of paper or a brown circle and make the trunk, okay? Just be creative, look outside, think of things that you can do and make an awesome scene. I'm not going to be picky. The only thing that you need to do is follow instructions. All the same size circles, as many colors as you want. You can use construction paper, you can use cardstock, you can use white paper colored. I will also send you, if you want to print these out, this would make it easy. I'm gonna send you these fraction circles. You can print out as many as you want. If you have a printer, print out as many as you want, and then color them before you cut them out. Okay, so see, I could, if I want to do blue 1/4, color it, and then cut them out, cut them into pieces, okay? And if I wanted yellow 1/4, print out another one and color those in. But these have 1/2, 1/3, 1/5, 1/6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? So this might be an easier way for you to do it if you have a printer. I wanted this to be a project that you didn't necessarily need a printer to do, so if this is helpful and you have a printer and you can color them, do that. But if you don't, just use paper, white paper that you color, or construction paper, and you can use any household object to make your circle. All right, so they have to be the same size circles. They have to be labeled before you cut them out. And then you need to get creative. And 5th grade needs to add one object together to use least common denominators, probably mixed numbers. And it needs to be done before June 4th, 2020. And you need to send it to me as pictures, as a picture, or you can send it to me as a video and explain what you did. I told you could even make a stop motion video as you're putting it together. You don't have to, but you can. All right, so I'll see you in a minute with your lesson for today, and then I'll see you on Zoom. Bye. Okay, 5th grade, real quick. Your homework for today and tomorrow is 495, A odd, and 498, A odd. 495 is all about estimating products of fractions. Okay, so on page 494, it tells you how to estimate products of fractions. Remember, when you're multiplying a fraction times a whole number, you are telling about how many groups, so that number is divided into groups, which is the denominator, and you're telling about how many groups, about how much would be in that many groups. Let me show you. Okay, so 5/8 times 36. Remember, we said that can also be of 5/8 of 36. So if you're estimating 5/8 of 36, how would you do that? Well, the first thing that I would do, and your book suggests to do, is say, what is 5/8 about? Okay, well, 5/8 is about 1/2, because 4/8 is 1/2, so 5/8 is about 1/2. So what would 1/2 of 36 be? So 36 divided by 2, right? It would be 18. So your estimate would be about 18. Let's look at number 1 on check, which is 495. So 8 times 9/10. You can also switch that around and put 9/10 of 8. Okay, so what would be an estimate of 9/10 times 8? Okay, you could say, well, 9/10 is almost 1 whole, so you could say 9/10 of 8 is 8, so about 8. Or you could say it's almost 1 whole, so 9/10 of 8 is about 7, or 7.5. Okay, so this is just estimating. So, but when we turn to page 496, we're going to start getting closer to actually multiplying the fractions. Now, when we multiply fractions, it shows you on page 496 how to do it using a model, so like a piece of paper. I want you to look at that and go over that by yourself before you do your work. But I also want to show you the actual way to multiply fractions. Okay, so when we multiply fractions, we simply multiply the numerator times the numerator and the denominator times the denominator. Okay, so let's say we have 1/2 times 3/4. Okay, so this is really saying 1/2 of 3/4. Okay, so we're gonna multiply the numerators first, the denominator second, and then see if we can reduce it at all. So what is 1 times 3? 3. What's 2 times 4? 8. Okay, can we reduce 3/8 at all? No, because the greatest common factor of 3 and 8 is 1. Okay, now what if I am multiplying a fraction and a whole number? I'm going to put a line underneath the 2 and put it over 1, because a whole number over 1 is just saying that that's that whole number, because 2 divided by 1, 2. Okay, so I'm going to put it over 1 and then multiply. So 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, so 2/3. That's the smallest that can be because the greatest common factor is 1. Okay, let's find one that can be changed. All right, how about 3/4 of 3/4 times 11. Okay, so I'm going to put the 11 over 1. 3/4 times 11. What's 3 times 11? 33. What's 4 times 1? 4. Okay, so that is an improper fraction. So what do I do to make that into a mixed number? I divide the numerator by the denominator. So 33 divided by 4. Well, I know that 33 divided by 4, it can go in 8 times because 8 times 4 is 32. So I have 8 with 1 left over. So I'm going to put 8 and 1/4, okay? Because I have 1/4 left over. All right? Okay, so I will see you in a minute and we'll talk about this. Bye.